One of the first songs that Leon played for Denny Cordell and Joe Cocker was Delta Lady. When Denny Cordell brings Joe Cocker and Peter Nichols and those guys to LA, they're seeking out this guy who played piano on the Delaney and Bonnie record. But little did they know the regard that he was held in as a session player and an arranger, and at that point in time, sort of almost a band leader for Delaney and Bonnie and friends and others. He had gone down to A&M to play on the Joe Cocker record, but then he brings them back to Sky Hill the next day, and he sits down and plays them 3 songs at least. He played Delta Lady, and Joe Cocker said, that was it, game over. I mean, this guy, like, what else you got? And you could hear Denny say, oh, what else you got, Leon? And so when they needed a name for a label that would be a shelter for artists in the way that A&M was, from the big label sort of machine, run by artistically friendly people who will let the artist do what they want to do, what their vision is. It was inspired by Delta Lady, the shelter of my body, but it became more of a shelter, an actual shelter that's how they envisioned it. Well, I think the demise of Shelter Records started with Leon's bold artistic direction to keep moving forward, to follow his muse. And he was never just that guy that you see in Mad Dogs and Englishmen, and never just that guy that you see, as the evangelical rock and roller on top of his piano. He was a multitude of things. He, started out here in Tulsa playing supper clubs, Errol Garner type jazz at 6 o'clock, and by midnight he was playing Jerry Lee Lewis. So he was all over the map. And of course, as an arranger, he was doing these grandiose string and woodwind arrangements, and he loved all that stuff. He loved it all. He was musically omnivorous, I guess is the way to say it. But Denny, I think, just saw Leon, basically the Leon of those first 3 records. According to Barney Cordell, Denny's son, Denny didn't like he liked rock and roll pure. He didn't like the vaudeville-y stuff. Like, for example, Tightrope. I think that song, though that became the hit that Denny really wanted to have, I don't think he would have loved that kind of song. I think he wanted the hard drive and gospel informed Leon. Leon wasn't really involved in the day-to-day aspects of the label, even if the week-to-week. He was letting Denny sort of sign the bands. Even J.J. Cale, you would think that was, since that was Leon's old friend, that it was Leon signing, but Leon had to be convinced to sign J.J. Cale. He didn't really hear what was good about that record. According to the people that were making, Maureen Gosling, who was making the Les Blank film with Les Blank, The Poem is a Naked Person, people could see the tension with Denny around the time of making Hank Wilson's Back. And Leon had moved back to Tulsa. Denny was coming back and forth between LA and Tulsa. And I think Leon just wanted to be his own man, do his own thing. He didn't want to be too much tied to a partner. So all of that stuff started to slowly unravel the label, I think. Then what really was the final nail in the coffin, everybody said, okay, we get a certain amount of dollars, and Peter Nichols said this as well, we get a certain amount of dollars here for doing this one more Leon Russell record under this distribution deal with Capitol, I guess, at that time. The main distributor would have paid them, I heard, $1 million. I'm not sure if that's exaggeration. It sounds like a lot of money for one more record back then. Either way, it would have been a Leon Russell record, but Leon said, no, I want to do a Leon and Mary record. Now, Mary McCreary was an artist on Shelter. Leon Russell was an artist on Shelter. Denny they had spent all this marketing and energy building both of their careers separately. Of course, Leon was the lodestar of the label, but Mary, they were really developing to come along as Mary McCreary. So he did not want all of a sudden a husband and wife duet. Now it's not Mary McCreary, it's not Leon Russell, it's Leon and Mary Russell. So from a marketing standpoint, I think it just sort of hurt his brain a little bit. And the label would not accept that as a Leon Russell record. And he wouldn't do a Leon Russell record. So the whole label things, they had to separate all their assets. They put their publishing, which was Leon's song publishing, a lot of it, most of it, into columns and a column of assets. And they said, okay, who wants column A and who wants column B kind of thing. And it was a disaster. And Leon never recovered from that. Leon's career never recovered from that. And Denny had a second act, but he had to deal with that lawsuit with Tom Petty as well over their publishing. And Denny kind of got out of the music business there for a while and didn't really come back until the 90s with Barney bringing him in for the Cranberries and having a big hit with the Cranberries, yeah. But it was like Peter implicated himself, saying that there were the English people, the Simon Miller Mondys, the Peters, the Dennys, and then there were the Tulsa people. And it really became sort of like a mistrust. Mary Jones talks about this as well, mistrust among them. And Leon, not knowing, he's got the devil and the angel on different shoulders in his mind. And I think his trust compass was a bit off. His daughter Blue just says it outright. Faced with two choices, the right one and the wrong one, Leon would always choose the wrong one. He would always listen to the wrong person instead of the more trustworthy person. I think that happened when he got back from that big 74 tour. Peter said they were in Japan and in Australia, Peter Nichols, and they got back and everybody was just burned out. And so when you're raw from the road and years of working nonstop, it does become very difficult. I know, anybody knows that's been working intensely for anything. You have to really step back and take a breath before you make any major decisions. And I don't think that breath was taken. People that know Leon know about the story about Elton John having a bit of a revelation about like a realization of what Leon meant to him, what as a piano player, as an influence. But it wasn't just a repayment of a debt for Elton. It wasn't like I got that checked off. He and Johnny Barbas, Elton's manager, did become Leon's management for a bit. Elton John was kind of an executive producer, and Johnny Barbas was a manager, an actual artist manager. And the idea was, we're going to follow this Union record up. We're going to do some more records. This next record is going to be similar, kind of bring Leon back to his roots again, and keep moving forward, but with a foot in the past, and get a producer like Don Was. And I think Don was actually going to be the producer, but Leon had other ideas, And again, it was this tension between people's idea of what Leon should be and Leon's own idea of what he should be. And plus, he had gotten so used to being on the road and doing a certain thing. And they really wanted to take Leon off the road for months at a time to make a proper record. And as Jack Russell said, no, this is what I do. I've got a band to support. I want to be out there playing. I don't want to be he goes, I can make a record in 2 weeks. I don't need 2 months to make a record. And this is a quote I want to state here, because it was hard to accent this in the book. But Elton said, he said to me, this is me doing Elton, he said he's wanted to do a record where he's doing like Georgia on My Mind, like a standards record. I said, no, Leon, we're going to do this. No, and that's what he did. He did a Georgia on My Mind type record with Tommy LaPuma, which is a beautiful record. But it's not a Leon Russell rock and roll record. And I think, much like Denny had, Elton wanted another record like The Union or something like Leon's heyday. But Leon loved the standards as well, and he wanted to do a record like that. And he was going to do some blues songs, some country songs. He had some vision. So, God bless him.